So, the MP7. As we know, most weapons in CSGO are balanced with specific uses in mind. Some are meant for precision, while others take a more excessive approach. Yet, even within these weapon subclasses, differences appear to further delineate each weapon into their specific niches. But what about the MP7? It's not the strongest SMG, but also not the weakest. It's not the most expensive SMG, but definitely not the cheapest. Even when focusing on its advantages, it doesn't seem to be the most accurate. Or is it? What factors would even contribute? What even is accuracy?
What do you even do?
And why would I, an MP9 user, believe the MP7 to be the most accurate SMG in CSGO? Now, before some of you leave an angry comment, at least let me explain my reasoning. Accuracy does not equal precision.
You're a video are boring and you try to act smart. This ain't math tutorials to fuel that annoying voice.
No. Now hold on. Of course I need to expand on my reasoning, but in order to do so, we first need to take a quick look at the MP7's weapon statistics. Yep, as usual, I won't be discussing all of the weapon statistics, but just the ones that I find to be important and/or interesting. As always, all of these statistics and more can be found via Sloth Squadron's spreadsheet, which I will link in the description box below. So, to start things off, at $1,700, the MP7 is one of the pricier SMGs in CSGO, available to both T and CT sides. While technically not the most expensive SMG, it's interesting to note that the MP7 is the most expensive farming SMG, as, unlike the P90, it retains a boosted kill award of $600. As a rather pricey farming SMG, the MP7 is actually quite average in terms of raw bullet power. While it does sport the second highest raw damage value at 29 damage per bullet, it only contains an armor penetration value of 62.5%, which I would say is slightly above average for an SMG. However, with a fire rate of 750 rounds per minute, the MP7 is below the SMG average in this respect. Still, factoring in these statistics and more, the MP7 obtains a middling but respectable overall DPS, scoring 350 against unarmored opponents and 219 for armored individuals. So, not super impressive, but not terribly bad. But don't fret just yet. The extra money spent on buying the MP7 did go somewhere, and that somewhere is within its accuracy statistics. Anyhow, like usual, I'm going to be posting all of the SMG's standing, crouching, and running inaccuracies for ease of comparison. Don't worry if your eyes gloss over. I will be explaining and highlighting things as we go. So, taking a look at the MP7's inaccuracy statistics, we see that the weapon actually has a great standing inaccuracy of 10.6, and equally great crouching inaccuracy at 6.52, both of which are second only to that of the MP9, by one value deviation or less. Considering the fact that the third best standing/crouching statistics are around 3 to 4 deviations apart, the MP7's inaccuracy statistics are actually quite impressive for an SMG. At least, better than second best would imply. As for running inaccuracies, the MP7 finally has the MP9 beat, with a running inaccuracy of 30.46. Unfortunately, yet again, the MP7 is snubbed for first place, as the MAC-10 maintains the best running inaccuracy for all SMGs. Speaking of moving accuracies, the MP7 also contains rather poor jumping inaccuracies for an SMG. They're still better than most other weapons in CSGO, but probably not good enough to consistently rely on. Combined with an average SMG damage drop-off, middling reload time, and strangely the lowest SMG mobility, it seems like the MP7 just can't catch a break. That being said, the weapon does excel in both recoil control and in accuracy from firing. managing the best values for both categories, which is more important than it seems, as these two statistics can turn the tide in terms of overall SMG accuracy. Combining its low recoil, firing inaccuracy, and rate of fire, the MP7 becomes one of, if not the easiest SMG to spray and control. While it also contains a rather standard and easily adjustable spray pattern, I'm more or less referring to grouping sprayed without player compensation in mind. Otherwise, any spray pattern could technically be better depending on a player's compensation skill. So, disregarding player control or outlier deviations, I would argue that the MP7 has one of the tightest on-target groupings out of all the SMGs. This is why I consider it to be the most accurate SMG. Yes, I know the MP9 has superior inaccuracy statistics for both standing and crouching positions, which is why I can understand if people see the MP9 as most accurate. However, when spraying the weapon in full auto, the MP9's groupings start to disperse. So, while the MP9 is indeed very precise when burst firing or tapping, it's not particularly accurate when spraying, as recoil and inaccuracy from firing have a huge impact on a weapon's full auto grouping. Again, accuracy does not equal precision. And because we're discussing submachine guns rather than rifles, I think it's fair to say that the general expectation for SMGs is towards spraying rather than tapping. So, I'm rating accuracy based on full auto groupings, rather than first shot inaccuracy. Honestly, arguing this point is almost a matter of semantics.
I'm sorry, but this is just so asinine.
But I do feel that it's a good point to showcase, as it does help to explain my next topic. So, how should you use the MP7? Well, as we've seen, with its stellar accuracy, recoil, and overall firing statistics, the MP7 is very easy to control, holding a consistent spray grouping throughout extended periods of fire. In addition, as the MP7 contains one of the better SMG running inaccuracies, spraying with the weapon seems to always be a valid option, regardless of stance or motion. Although, because of its rather poor jumping inaccuracies, I would err on the side of running and gunning rather than gun jumping. Obviously, not every situation should be handled by spraying and praying, as the MP7 is also excellent when bursting or tapping. But unlike the MP9, which requires stationary burst firing at range, you can actually get away with spraying the MP7 more often than not. Strangely enough, because of its accuracy statistics, middling fire rate, and average damage output, I would genuinely say that the MP7 is stronger at mid-ranged combat rather than CQC. Hear me out. Of course, while the MP7 is still good in CQC situations, there are definitely better, more cost-effective alternatives, sporting higher damage, armor penetration, and faster rates of fire for optimal CQC dueling experiences. Of course, the MP7 can still be quite effective in CQC, but I would highly suggest making use of cover or utility when playing close. .30 bullets at 750 rounds per minute goes a lot faster than you'd think, and a 3-second reload time is a lot longer than you'd want. Honestly, the MP7 spray control may be good for CQC, but more importantly, it's great for spraying at medium ranges, putting the MP7 above most other SMGs in that regard. In fact, because the weapon is so accurate and easy to use, it remains one of the more popular SMG choices at both the professional level and competitive matchmaking, even despite the cost. Which reminds me, when should you buy the MP7? So, as we touched on before, the MP7 is the most expensive farming SMG in CSGO. That is to say, it's the most extravagant SMG option designed for anti-eco or anti-save rounds. While there are definitely more cost-effective SMG options for these types of rounds, the MP7 is actually the safest choice in my opinion. Let me explain. Usually against anti-eco or anti-save rounds, SMGs are used to win firefights in CQC. Needless to say, within the current pistol armor meta, fighting at closer ranges puts you at a higher risk, as most upgraded pistols can one-shot through a Kevlar helmet buy. This is why I regard the MP7 to be the safest SMG option against anti-eco rounds. Having an accurate medium-ranged SMG is a lot more useful than you'd think. Not only do you pull yourself out of most of the one-shot danger zone, but by extending the distance between yourself and the enemy, you also allow yourself more time to reposition, reload, or use utility. Plus, if the enemy does manage to kill you, dropping an MP7 isn't nearly as disastrous as dropping a P90 or UMP, as those weapons were designed to shred through armor. I wouldn't really suggest buying the MP7 for anything outside of anti-eco or anti-save rounds. Reason being is that it's just too expensive and not really worth the risk as an eco round weapon, especially with stronger and more cost-effective alternatives available. Not to say that the MP7 is terrible against full armor, as its armor pen, accuracy, and damage are more than serviceable, but unless you plan on keeping the weapon through multiple gun rounds, it doesn't make sense to sink that much money into a weapon you plan on dropping for an upgraded rifle. Yet, because of the MP7's low recoil, among other things, it is one of the easiest SMGs to score headshots with while spraying. So, with a bit of game sense and a lot of luck, it's more than capable of dealing out punishment against full buys. In conclusion, the MP7 is one of the easiest SMGs to pick up and use, and probably one of the most traditional in its preferred usage. While it may not technically have the lowest standing, crouching, or even running inaccuracies, the culmination of its many statistics, most notably its low recoil and inaccuracy from firing, make it the most accurate SMG for spraying and praying. Combined with a serviceable damage output and an extended kill award, the MP7 makes a great SMG option for anti-eco and anti-save rounds. It's a relatively safe weapon choice in this regard, as it provides users with an extended range along with accurate spray control. Yet, even with its many boons, the MP7 remains stuck in tradition, specifically to be used as an anti-eco or anti-save SMG. While not necessarily bad outside of such rounds, there are just too many better, more cost-effective SMG alternatives. But that's just my opinion. As such, I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree, and that's okay. I'm always open to new ideas and discussions. But until then, the MP7 is my pick as the most accurate SMG in CSGO.
I am
The most accurate SMG.